So we'll move on to the continuation of communicable diseases. The next topic we will deal is diphtheria. So diphtheria is actually caused by the bacteria Corynebacterium diphtheriae, and it is an acute infectious disease. And usually in Corynebacterium diphtheriae, the patient will be having sore throat. Along with that, the patient can also have fever. And as the disease is progressing, usually the patient will be having a membranous formation in the throat region. And as the disease progresses, if the membranous thickens, it usually results in breathing difficulty and dyspnea. So that particularly is a definition of diphtheria. It is a condition caused by Corynebacterium diphtheriae. It is an acute infectious condition and it results in sore throat and fever. And also there is formation of a membranous formation in the throat. Usually if it thickens, it may result in dyspnea and also it may cause dysphagia. And most of the time, this is the characteristic feature of the diphtheria. Usually, there is formation of a membrane, I told. This membrane is usually yellowish or grayish in color, and it is referred as a false membrane. And usually, this membranous covering, that is, which is yellow and gray in color, it will form on your tonsils or in the pharynx region or in the larynx region. So, that is why what happens is, as the disease progresses, the patient can have breathing difficulty. Sometimes they can have difficulty in even speech also because it is affecting your larynx, and they can also have dyspnea. Other than that, if it progresses, the patient can also have congestion and edema. You know what happens because of congestion and edema? There will be destruction of the local tissue, and again, it may progress into some complications. The next characteristic feature is usually the patient can have enlarged lymph nodes. Okay, along with that, the patient can also have signs and symptoms of toxemia. So next is moving on to the etiology and the risk factors of diphtheria. So first of all, as I have discussed, diphtheria is caused by Corynebacterium diphtheriae, and most of the time it is transmitted by droplet infection. It could be even transmitted through nasopharyngeal secretions or discharges from the skin lesions. That is, especially we refer it as cutaneous lesions. So discharges from the skin can also result in transmission of infection. Along with that, contaminated fomites. We know what are the fomites, isn't it? So when a droplet infection or any other uh, if a person is touching this objects and a non-infected person will touch, they are also having high risk of getting the infection. Next is period of infectivity. Most of the time it varies in between 14 to 28 days, but sometimes it is also seen that the carriers can carry the infection for a longer period of time. Maybe they will carry the infection for more than a month also. Next is the risk factors. Now, commonly, diphtheria is seen in children. It is commonly seen in children less than 5 years of age, and commonly it is also seen in during the infancy period. And diphtheria occurs in almost all the seasons. Most of the time, it is seen in the winter season, and as I have told, it is transmitted by droplet infection and also by cutaneous lesions, that is the skin lesions. Then it can also transmit through fomites. Maybe an infected person is touching their utensils or toys or pencils. If at all it is infected by the nasopharyngeal secretions, then it could be transmitted. Incubation period could be 2 to 6 days or even more. Next is clinical features. Now, clinical features of diphtheria is most of the time, as I have told, the membranous formation is there in the larynx, pharynx, and even the tonsil. So, because of that, usually it is referred as a respiratory tract infection. Okay, and it consists of pharyngotonsillar symptoms, laryngotracheal symptoms, nasal symptoms are commonly seen. Okay, so now when I am telling about pharyngotonsillar diphtheria, where the patient is having pharyngotonsillar symptoms, in this case, the patient will be having signs and symptoms of severe sore throat. They may not be able to swallow because of the severe sore throat. Along with that, because of the infection, the patient may be also having fever, and they can also have swelling in the lymph nodes, especially behind the ear region or in the neck region. Next, along with that, they can also have dyspnea or even nasal discharge because it is somewhat like flu-like symptoms may be seen. And when they are examining the throat of the patient, they may see that there is redness, erythema, or exudates, and even membranous formation may be seen in the patient. And in the early stage, usually these membranes are whitish in appearance. Initially, they'll be whitish in appearance, but as the days are progressing, this membrane will become grayish or bluish or sometimes blackish in color, and then it becomes thickened. So what happens is initially it may be easy to wipe off, but as it thickens, if you try to scrape it off, it may result in bleeding. So other than that, what happens is if the case is progressing because of the severity, what happens is the patient can have enlarged lymph nodes, especially I told in the neck region and in the ear region behind the ears. So because of that, it will give a bull neck appearance. Okay, so the entire neck may be somewhat like swollen because of the enlarged lymph nodes. So that will give a bull neck appearance to the patient. Next is laryngeal diphtheria. Laryngeal diphtheria means the patient will be having symptoms of laryngeal symptoms will be there. Especially here, the patient may be having difficulty to speak. They can also have your swollen lymph nodes. Along with that, the patient can also have fever and other symptoms. Sore throat symptoms may be present. Next is cutaneous diphtheria. In cutaneous diphtheria, as we have seen in the picture there, the patient can have skin lesions, and usually it is told that the patient will be having certain ulcers on the skin, and that may be a result for the transmission of infection. And usually in cutaneous diphtheria, it can be because of poor personal hygiene. And most of the time, these skin lesions will heal very slowly. Next is moving on to the complications of diphtheria. Now, most of the time, because of this membrane is covering in the larynx, pharynx, or even in the tonsils, the patient can experience severe dyspnea like symptoms. They may have breathing difficulty. Along with that, because of this inflammation of the heart, usually the patient may have myocarditis, that is inflammation of the middle layer of the heart. Why it happens is mainly because of the release of the bacterial toxins, and that may in turn progress into complete heart damage. Along with that, these bacterial toxins of Corynebacterium diphtheriae, it may result in nerve damage, and it may also damage your kidneys, and it may cause renal failure. So this is the picture where you can see that diphtheria formation, there is a pseudomembrane formation, and this pseudomembrane may obstruct the airway. Next is you can see that this is a 10-year-old boy with severe diphtheria. They can also have sometimes pink eye, that is referred as conjunctivitis. Along with that, you can see that the child is having bull neck appearance because of enlarged lymph nodes, and they can also have severe myocarditis. Diagnosis. Now, most of the time we can diagnose it by just performing physical examination, blood investigations, especially blood culture can be done. You can detect the microorganism which is present. Throat swab can be sent, throat swab or throat culture. Then ECG can be used to detect if there is any heart damage. You can also perform RFT to see if there is any kidney damage. Next is moving on to the treatment. Now, most of the time you have to give adequate bed rest to the patient. Antipyretics can be given if they have got fever. Antibiotics, most of the time we give is penicillin and erythromycin. Along with that, if they have got any other symptoms, you can treat the symptoms. Now, most of the time, control of diphtheria is done by detecting diphtheria. So, for detecting diphtheria, we can perform the swabs, uh, can be taken from the nose as well as the throat. And once you have detected that the person is infected, you may have to isolate the person. For at least 14 days, you may need to isolate the person. Next is regarding prevention of diphtheria. Now, prevention of diphtheria most of the time can be done by giving immunization. You are aware about the immunization, that is DPT vaccine is available, which is having diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. That is three-in-one vaccine that is given for the children. Other than that, nowadays we have also got DT vaccine. DT refers to diphtheria and tetanus vaccine. Here in this, we are not giving for pertussis. Next, we have got TD vaccine. TD vaccine refers to tetanus and diphtheria, and that is usually given to children. So this is all about Diphtheria.